devaluation swindle to save themselves and profit. The Bush crime family element of the syndicate has essentially been closed down, with bank accounts in Europe, China and elsewhere sequestered. They have had their day. Recalling that rats fight each other inside the sack and that there is never any love lost between thieves, that theoretically leaves the field clearer for their rivals. Unconfirmed reports from several sources indicate that Mrs. Hillary Clinton, under national security grand jury pressure, see below, has ratted on her main criminal associates, the Bushite wing of the syndicate, in exchange for the U.S. Secretary of State's transactional or apparent permanent immunity from prosecution. Cornered U.S. criminals contemplate the Samson option. It's not speculation. It's at the detailed planning stage. Sabotage against the whole world is being officially contemplated at the highest U.S. level, meaning the White House, and it has been under consideration there for months. However, the roof is already falling in on the crooks given imminent national security grand jury developments, and the further freezing of Bush senior accounts in Europe and China. Our sources have separately been willing to confirm several reports which imply that the criminal strategists may shortly discover that they cannot control events at all. For instance, investigations by the Turkish government into immense U.S. corruption through the Central Bank of Turkey focus on criminal finance operations exploited by the Worldwide Trust through a bank in northern Cyprus, a territory recognized only by Turkey. Also involved in those operations was Bank Lumia Israel and the American-Turkish Council. At a further stupendous collapse of toxic derivatives is imminent, with severe implications for a number of large banks, has likewise been confirmed by our sources, in the context of a realization that the Treasury is about to discover that nobody at home or abroad is going to remain prepared to purchase its trash. It's as the banking sector sags under the dead weight of derivatives fraud. We did anticipate such a development several months ago, and we indicated that this would occur in the third quarter of 2009, a prediction that is being proved correct. Specifically, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation (FDIC) shut down Colonial Bank, based in Alabama and Florida, which had $25 billion in assets, on 14th August, switching that bank's 346 branches to the North Carolina bank BB&T. The failed bank, which acknowledged in July that there was substantial doubt that it could survive as an independent business, admitted a few days prior to its enforced closure that it was under investigation for mortgage fraud, and also that a separate investigation was ongoing into its accounting practices in connection with an application for funds from the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP. Colonial Bank's offices, and those of Taylor, Bean and Whitaker, another U.S. mortgage lender, were raided by federal agents 2 weeks earlier. 4 other banks also failed on 14th August, including Community Bank of Nevada, Las Vegas, 2 smaller institutions in Arizona, and 1 in Pittsburgh. On 16th August, it was reported to us that 5 large U.S. banks were expected to fail at any moment, delivering another body blow to the Deepner Treasury's crash and failing attempt to restart the collapsed derivatives sector. And against this background, the compromised Mrs. Clinton, who has rolled over on the Bushites and other criminal names, and is therefore temporarily protected by her questionable immunity for the time being, is now being intensively questioned by forces pressing home the rule of law, headed by the New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo, to fill out gaps in their investigations into the criminal records of many of the high-level crooks we have exposed in these reports. Dr. Alan Greenspan, the former U.S. Treasury Secretary, Henry M. Paulson, the former Department of Homeland Security Chief, Michael Chertoff, former Clinton-era Treasury Secretary and guardian of the Clintons' ill-gotten funds at Citibank, Robert Rubin, the current U.S. Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner, because the Federal Reserve Bank of New York is under investigation, the New York Fed's Stephen Friedman, and other U.S. criminal operatives fingered in these reports and by other observers. Among thefts being investigated are illegal transactions by Chinese main crooks and U.S. Treasury collaborators of both U.S. and Chinese sovereign funds. We understand Given such pressures, of which the foregoing list is merely a brief current sample, the diabolical devaluation sabotage swindle that is being planned can be interpreted as a desperate stratagem comparable to a planned jailbreak by cornered prisoners subhudny escape plan that will make the plight of the perpetrators far worse than it already is, because of faulty execution.